The game ended in Paris, August 31st, 1997. Her driver was racing to escape the paparazzi when the car slammed into a pillar in the Alma Tunnel.
10 minutes after the car crash, I got a phone call from a French photographer.
In an instant, Ken Lennox, then photo editor at the Sun newspaper in London, received explicit pictures of Diana in the car. The photographer told him she was fine. Lennox bought the shots for nearly $500,000.
I knew how important the photographs would be. Diana looked dazed, and she had a little trickle of blood coming from her ear and a little from her nose, and didn't look badly injured.
In fact, Diana's condition was grave. At the hospital, doctors tried for 2 hours to save her, but the internal injuries were overwhelming.
I heard that there had been a car crash in Paris and that Dodie had died. And there was a bit of me that half expected the phone to ring and for her to ring up and say, life's rough, you know, and what do I do now?
And the first thing that we heard was that that Dodie was killed, but that she had just broken her leg. So I immediately rang her on her mobile and left a message saying, you know, I'm coming out, you know, don't worry, it'll all be fine. You know. And then, of course, the night went on, you know, and we heard the news.
At the age of 36, Diana, Princess of Wales, the People's Princess, was dead.
She was almost like a sort of distant relative.
Ken Lennox had taken some of the very first photos of Diana. In his hands, he now had the last. But valuable as those pictures were, Lennox had finally reached a line he couldn't cross. He never published them.
I felt miserable. I felt like I had lost somebody that I cared for. Here was a girl who had been a big part of my life. I'd spent months with her at a time. I'd traveled the world following her. And it wasn't until the picture of the coffin, draped with Prince Charles's standard coming out, that I just looked at that picture, my God, she is dead.
More than 700 million people had watched Diana's wedding. 2.5 billion people watched her funeral. The world was in mourning.
For me, the abiding memory of the funeral is of the soldiers' feet shuffling along the floor of the abbey. It's the most, it's just hearing her coming.
Goodbye, England's rose, may you ever grow in our hearts. You are
At the memorial service, after Elton John brought tears to the eyes of a nation,
torn apart.
Diana's brother Charles looked for someone to blame.
Of all the ironies about Diana, perhaps the greatest was this. A girl given the name of the ancient goddess of hunting was, in the end, the most hunted person of the modern age.
Diana's brother makes a speech where he's saying she was pursued mercilessly by photographers who have finally caused her death. Oh. I mean, I could feel my own flesh creep.
In fact, the paparazzi who chased her that night were initially charged with involuntary homicide. They have since been cleared, and tests revealed her driver was legally drunk.
The media were not responsible for Diana's death. Diana invited the media. She was the one who actually let them in.
There are unsupported but persistent rumors that Diana was pregnant when she died.